Ooh, tough question. Luckily for you, on this channel, we only answer tough questions. In today's video, I'm gonna tell you exactly which is my favorite guitar from my collection, and we're gonna do it in the most scientific way possible. We are gonna rank my guitars. Let's go. All right, before we start ranking guitars, if you are new here, my name is AJ. Welcome to the channel. Here we talk about guitars, gear, and other nerdy guitar things. Nice to see your smiling face. Now, in order to rank these guitars fairly, I've come up with a scoring system based on 4 categories. Each of these categories is worth up to 5 top hats. Each guitar is gonna be given a score in each category, and then we're gonna add it all up for a grand total of up to 20 top hats. The 4 categories are 1, playability, and this includes tuning stability and overall ease and enjoyment of playing the neck. 2, sound. So how does the guitar sound playing in a room? How does it sound playing live? And how does it sound being recorded? 3, looks. Of course, this one had to be in here. And 4, sentimental value. I will talk about this briefly with each guitar and we'll give it a score. And for this video, I'm only ranking my electric guitars, so I'm not gonna include my basses or my acoustic or my cedar box guitar. And I figured the best way to show you guys these guitars in order is chronologically from the oldest to the newest. With all of that out of the way, let's go with guitar number 1. Guitar number 1, my Gibson Les Paul Studio. Category number 1, playability. This thing gets a 4. This guitar has the beefy 50s neck, which I love. It plays super smooth. The only reason why it's not getting a 5 is because, as we all know, the G string on Gibson guitars do not stay in tune. Sound, 5. This guitar has always sounded amazing to me. It plays and sounds like a Les Paul. And one of the best things I did for it is I upgraded the pickups to the Slash Seymour Duncan Alnico 2 Pros. This guitar sounds amazing. Looks, 4. I typically like burst on Les Pauls, but when I saw this color, I immediately fell in love with it. Most Les Paul Studios kind of come with that red wine and black and sometimes alpine, and so this color is not so common, and that's why I love it. And sentimental value, 5. I've had this guitar for nearly 20 years. It's been my number 1 guitar. I've toured with it, I've made records with it, and I truly feel like this instrument is a part of me creatively. I'll link a video about this guitar up here. Total score for the Les Paul Studio, 18. Guitar number 2, my made in Japan 2005 or 2006 Fender Telecaster. Category number 1, playability. I give this a 3.5. I love the neck of this guitar. It plays awesome, and this guitar stays in tune. However, I'm giving it a 3.5 because I use this guitar a lot as my second or backup guitar playing live. And when I'm going from a Les Paul to this guitar, when I switch over to this guitar, there's a big volume drop in my sound or my tone. Obviously, it's because of the pickups. And so I always had to make adjustments on my pedal board or my amp to dial in a volume similar to the Les Paul. Sound, 4. I love the sound of Tellies. I love them even better with humbuckers. I added the little 59 in the bridge. This guitar sounds amazing. Looks, 5. This guitar looks so cool. It's black, it's white, it's got the Bigsby. I think it's just a badass looking guitar. And the last category, sentimental value. This Telecaster gets a 5. I got this guitar in Japan as well, and I loved my time in Japan. And second, this was a present, a really great present. And yeah, it's been in my collection for almost 20 years, and such a great guitar. Total score, 17.5 top hats. Guitar number 3, my Gibson Melody Maker Les Paul from 2012. Playability, 3. Because of its simplicity of this wraparound bridge, it's really hard to intonate, so it does go out of tune quite a bit, but it has the beefy 50s neck, which I love. Sound, 3. Because of its thinner body and baked maple neck, this guitar actually has a lot of bite. I've kept the original pickups. I'm thinking about changing these pickups to something else. Let me know in the comments below if you have any recommendations. And sentimental value, 5. I got this guitar right around the time my oldest daughter was born, which is why I put this sticker on here. So this is known as the Ella guitar. I love this guitar. I think I just don't play it enough for whatever reason, but great guitar. Total score, 14 top hats. Guitar number 4, my Gibson Les Paul Standard. Category number 1, playability, it gets a 4. It gets a 4 because similar to my Les Paul Studio, the neck is awesome. It's got the 50s thick neck. However, it does have the same problem as my Studio of the G string not staying in tune. Category number 2, sound. This thing gets a 5. When I was shopping for Les Pauls at the time of me buying this guitar, I played every single Les Paul at Long & McQuaid in Vancouver that was not a custom shop. And this by far was the best sounding Les Paul Standard I've ever played. And to this day is still the best sounding Les Paul I've ever played. Looks, 5. One of the reasons that attracted me to this guitar is because of the finish. It's a honey burst finish. It reminds me a lot of the Jessica guitar, which is, of course, famously Slash's guitar. And sentimental value, 5. I've always wanted a Les Paul Standard in this configuration and this color, and this literally is my dream guitar. I do have a video about this guitar right here. Total score, 19 top hats. Guitar number 5, my 2005 Fender Stratocaster. Playability, 3. Now the reason why I'm giving this guitar a 3 for playability is because it had some major tuning issues for a long time. I had it set up professionally, I used different gauge strings, but my guitar tech and I finally came to the decision that we were gonna block the tremolo block, and that really fixed the tuning stability of this guitar. Otherwise, it would get a higher score in playability. Category number 2, sound, it gets a 4. I love how Strats sound, but for whatever reason, they never resonated with me until I put this humbucker in the bridge. As soon as I put the humbucker in the bridge, I started loving the Strat even more. Looks, 5. This guitar looks badass. It looks like it's been in a war. Side note, I did get this guitar used on a trade plus some cash, and it came road worn like this, which kind of added to the appeal of me wanting to get this guitar. And sentimental value, I give it a 3. I love this guitar, but it only gets a 3 because, well, I like my other guitars more. I also have a video about this guitar and I'll link it right here. Total score for the Stratocaster, 15. Guitar number 6, my Fender Starcaster. I think it's from 2016. Playability, it gets a 4. It took me a little bit to get used to the neck because it has the Fender scale length, so it's a little bit longer than the Gibson, and it's a little bit thinner, but this thing stays in tune and just plays so nice now that I'm used to it. Sound, this guitar gets a 5. This is my first semi-hollow guitar, and it has the wide range Fender pickups. This guitar sounds awesome. It can get Gibson-like tones. It can also get Fender-like tones. I don't know how it does it, but it's just so versatile. It sounds so good. Looks, in my opinion, is a 5. This might be a controversial take on this guitar. When Fender released this guitar back in the 70s, it was to compete with the ES335, which obviously is a super sexy guitar, but they made it offset. They put the funny headstock on here, and a lot of people didn't like this guitar, and to this day still don't like how it looks, but I think it looks awesome. I love the offset, and I really like the headstock. It's so unique, so I give it a 5. I don't care what the haters say. And sentimental value, this guitar also gets a 5. Quick story of when I got this guitar. I got this guitar late March 2020. We can all remember that time. Like most people, I was stuck at home. I was trying to make music. I just wasn't feeling motivated. I randomly went on Facebook Marketplace and I started looking at used guitars, and an ad came up for this guitar. I always loved these guitars, but they were always super rare, so I jumped at the chance to get this guitar. So I messaged the seller and we met at his church. He was asking $1,000 Canadian for this guitar, and I was gonna offer him $800. He told me that the reason why he was selling his gear was because he lost his job and he needed money to pay for rent. Of course, I felt so bad for him and in his situation. I gave him his ask price, which again was $1,000, and I made him a promise that at any point that he wanted to buy this guitar back from me, I would sell it to him at the same price that I bought it from. So my dude, if you are watching this video and want to buy this guitar back, the offer still stands. Total score for the Starcaster, 19. Guitar number 7, my Gretsch G5120 Electromatic semi-hollow. Playability 3. I've never played Gretches before. Feels similar to a Gibson, but I give it a 3 because, well, it's just very average to me. Sound 3. I plugged this in. I did what I always do with it. I plug it into my Vox AC15 or my EVH and play some gain with it. Again, it just sounded very average to me. Looks 4. I do love how badass it looks. I think this guitar is badass. I like how big it is. Yeah, it gets a 4 for me. And sentimental value, this guitar gets a 2. Quite honestly, this guitar has been on the chopping block for my collection for a long time. I just don't play it enough for whatever reason. Again, it's just like a very average guitar to me. Yeah, so I think I might be doing a video on this and probably trying to trade it up for something else. So be on the lookout for that. Total score for the Gretsch, 12. And guitar number 8 in the collection is 2012 Fender Jazzmaster. I know it's from 2012, but I just picked this up a couple months ago. Playability, it gets a 3.5. It has the Fender scale length, so it's very similar to my Strat and my Tele, which I'm used to by now. But it gets a 3.5 because it took a little bit to get used to the bridge and when I palm mute. Sound 4. I was blown away at how good this guitar sounded. These are the stock pickups, which are Duncan designed. I particularly love the P90. I actually bought this guitar to mod and I was gonna just go with a single bridge pickup, but I love the neck P90 so much that I think I'm gonna keep it now. Looks 4. I love offset guitars. I love the black and the sunburst. It's just a really cool looking guitar. And sentimental value, I give this a 3. It's my newest guitar, so I haven't had enough time to really gel with it, but I am making a record with this guitar. And I love that P90 so much that the P90 is a very prominent part of my sound for this upcoming record. And I feel like the sentimental value on this guitar is definitely gonna skyrocket once that project comes out. Total score for the Jazzmaster, 14.5. Now on the screen is the final results, and my Les Paul Standard and my Fender Starcaster have come out on top with 19 points, which was not surprising to me because those are the 2 guitars that I play the most. If you look at my Instagram page, which is linked down below, I posted 100 covers last year, and those 2 guitars are the guitars that I played the most. So it makes sense to me that they are the top of the list. And if we look at the bottom of the list, I have the Gretsch down there, and it's not a surprise to me that it is at the bottom of the list because truthfully, it is the guitar that I play the least. And like I mentioned earlier when I was ranking the Gretsch, it's been on the chopping block for a few months or maybe even longer. And I've been thinking about selling it or trading it for another guitar of some sort. So yeah, I think we'll do a video on that. Man, that was a lot of fun ranking my guitars, and we did answer the question of which one is my favorite guitars. Actually, I have 2 in my collection. If you're a guitar collector, I would love for you to use this system and maybe rank your guitars with this ranking system, and tell us and maybe tag us in your video which is your favorite guitar, and yeah, use our system. As always, if you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate you so much. Please consider liking and subscribing. Hit that bell for notifications. I will see you guys in the next video. Pick up that guitar. Let's go.